Okay. Hello, everyone. We're about to start today's Gala webinar. Just a few seconds so that everybody can log in. So please sit tight. And you can see the moderators and the speaker are already there, waiting to share their opinions on this very hot topic. So let's just wait for everybody to log in so we can all have a good conversation together. And in the meantime, if you want, you can write in the chat where you guys are joining us from. And any questions that you might have for Jessica, Paolo, or Lucrezia, you can do so using the chat. And okay, see Holland, San Francisco, Slovenia, wonderful. Germany, Monterey, California, Dublin, Rio from Brazil. Wow. Oh. Hello. Oh, that's wonderful. Let's see. Vietnam, London, Madrid. Wow. Oh, excellent. Barcelona. Hi. That's wonderful. Argentina, France, Strasbourg. Okay. Okay, I would say let's get started. So hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Gala webinar. My name is Isabella Massardo. I'm content strategist here at Gala. Today's webinar is very interesting because it's a webinar that was organized by the Member Program Committee, which is a committee of volunteers, Gala members who want to volunteer their time and join us in shaping interesting content and programs for our membership. And Paolo was the moderator of the Member Program Committee. Lucrezia was a member. We already had at the beginning of October another webinar organized by Annelise Finnegan, who was also a member of the program of this committee. The reason I'm saying all of this is, first of all, to thank Lucrezia, Paolo, Dimitri, and everybody else who every month joined us in a meeting to work together on some great content, and also because we have opened another call for volunteers for the last quarter of 2022. And if you never volunteered, but you're thinking about it, or if you absolutely want to join us, just let us know. I will post the link in the chat in a minute, and let us talk and see what can be done. As always, you will have we usually have a Q&A at the end of the discussion of the presentation, but unfortunately, one of the panelists, Patrick Nunes, couldn't be with us today. He's stuck in an airport. So we will just have a conversation with Jessica Radke, with Paolo, and with Lucrezia. And if you guys in the audience have anything to say, if you want to join the conversation, the only thing you have to do is raise your hand and we will open your microphone. If you're shy, you can just write your question in the chat and we will read it out loud. Okay. The webinar will be recorded and I will follow up with an email and the link to the recording. So now I'm going to shut up and I'm going to leave Jessica, Paolo, and Lucrezia to have this interesting conversation. Good luck, guys.
Thank you very much, Isa. Hello, everybody. I would like to start introducing Paolo here. Paolo started in 2006 as an administrative assistant. After that, he combined translation and project management duties, with the project manager being the main focus. He worked as a project manager for more than 6 years, dealing with more than 15 million translated work per year. In the last 4 years, he has been working as a managing director, driving the company through the evolution of machine translation, developing their employees, and foreseeing their strategies for the future. Recently, he was elected president of the Brazilian Association of the Linguistic Industry.
Hello, everybody. My name is Paulo. Lucrezia just said it, and I'm here to introduce Lucrezia. Lucrezia is in charge of the Business Development Department at Translation Back Office. She was born in Argentina and lived in 10 nations in the Americas, Europe, and Asia. She has been working in the translation localization industry for 11 years, wearing many different hats that taught her about globalization, strategy, customer success, but mostly how to make meaningful connections with the people she works with on a daily basis. She's a volunteer for Gala, Women in Localization, and also listed in the NIMSI top 100 influencers. Her job at TBO is to facilitate global communication between cultures and peoples. They do this by offering translation and localization service 24/7, and also highly qualified staff in different time zones like project managers, IT managers, vendor managers, among others.
Okay, and then we have the main star, which is Jessica Radke. Jessica, you know I'm a huge fan of yours. Jessica has 29 years of localization sales experience. She's currently the principal of Fluent Sales LLC, an Austin, London-based sales consultancy. She helps translation industry leaders around the world increase revenue through training and consulting services. She also helps business leaders improve cross-cultural management competencies in multinational LSPs and beyond. Jessica holds an MBA and a Bachelor of Arts in Foreign Affairs and in German from Miami University in Ohio. She also did a postgraduate German studies at the University of, how do you pronounce it, Salzburg?
Salzburg, yes.
Okay. Jessica has served in various roles in women and localization in the US and the UK, and is listed in the NIMSI Top 100 Influencers in 2020.
A big,
Wow, thank
big
you.
bio.
Yeah, that's
Oh, you didn't have
huge.
to read all of it, really, but okay. Feeling a little, thank you, Lucretia, for that. Yeah, it's kind of the standard bio, really. I think, you know, because I'm in the industry, I like to put my language studies in my bio because, you know, the lingua franca of our industry is English, and
Yeah.
I want people to know that I do, you know, I do understand, although I have to say I don't get to practice my German very much because everybody in our industry speaks much better English than I speak German. Anyway, yeah, this is an interesting topic. And it's one that I've been dabbling into quite a bit lately. In fact, right before this, I was doing a training and I got into a discussion about this topic with my client, who works for one of the really large LSPs. And it's very interesting, you know, some of the idiosyncrasies, I guess, that we have in our industry. And if you don't mind, I'm just going to talk about a couple of things and then express a couple of opinions, and then we'll see if I generate controversy or you know, agreement. And also, one of the things that strikes me, though, is I'd like to hear from the LSPs who serve other LSPs, so single language, maybe regional language vendors, and get their opinion, because mine tends to be a bit more of an Anglo-Saxon market because I'm based in London and the US, and I tend to deal with LSPs who deal with end clients, not always, but you know, and I'd be really curious to hear their thoughts and concerns about pricing models in the industry, and maybe we can get some conversations going around that as well. So I wanted to mention that, but I'm going to start with something very interesting. So actually I have to update my bio because this is my 30th year in the industry.
Wow.
So I started in September of 1992, and my business partner, Thomas Edwards, and I got in a conversation a few months ago about, you know, because I said, oh God, I've been in the industry 30 years. And he said, so 1992, what were you charging for French in 1992? And I said about 21 cents a word in, you know, the US market. And he said, what do you charge? What do companies charge today? And we asked some companies who deal with end clients, and they say about 21 cents a word. So, you know, we kind of were like, wow, We're not keeping up with inflation
Yeah,
in terms of standard word rates. He calculated that we should be charging 42 cents a word today for French
can you
if we
imagine?
account for inflation. If we count,
100% more ish.
yeah. And yeah, you know, obviously it kind of depends, and we have a lot more technology today than we had then, and many projects, you know, we've had that kind of technology progression, you
Exactly.
know, and so some charges kind of disappeared, but then other charges kind of came into play because you have to manage MT somehow. You know, you have to pay for that, but at the same time, okay, per word rates have changed, but you know, for standard kind of traditional projects, the rates haven't changed. So then we were like, well, you know, does it pay to be a translator? You know, I'd be a little bit, if my wages are not keeping up with inflation, and obviously there's variance in rates.
Yeah.
Same for SLVs and what have you. And of course, it's dependent on subject matter. Sometimes more, most of the time, customers don't want to pay as much, right? So there is this downward trend. One of the other things that I think has been contributing to this discussion, not just geopolitical stuff either. I mean, there's war going on, there's all kinds of things happening in the world that are impacting rates mostly. I mean, we're looking at inflation. I mean, we probably have to recalculate that number given the inflation of the last 3 or 4 months, especially the last month, because I was away and I went to the grocery store yesterday and I was like, wow, they just increased my scone. I like scones, very British thing. It used to be £1.20. They went up to 1.50, £2. They're £2.20 now.
Yeah.
You know, in the last month, they've gone up about 40 pence, which to me is just unbelievable. So I think I have to recalculate this 42 cents. But anyway, the other trend that we found that is also kind of a strange trend, I guess, is disappearing charges. So like we used to charge project preparation. We used to charge for file preparation, post-project processing and all that stuff. Granted, we're much more efficient at it than we were in 1992 because thank God the tools are better. But you know, glossary creation, even project management isn't charged for in many cases. DTP is, you know, we still charge for it, but it's much harder to charge for, even if it's something difficult. And, you know, I think, you know, a lot of this stuff just gets wrapped in word rates that are not keeping up with inflation.
Jessica,
You
can I ask
yeah.
you something there?
Sure.
Because when did this change happen, and why do you think that happened?
Well, this will get us right into the pricing discussion.
Okay, let's leave it for later.
Why did it happen? Okay, well, this is where I might be controversial, and then I really want to get some input, but I did want to set the stage, if that's okay. I think, you know, technology has played a big part, so the improvement in it, translation memory, but I want to know where word rates came from in the first place. I guess because it's easy, you know, and who came up with the rates for 100, you know, fuzzy matches and
Yeah.
you know, near matches. I mean, you know, who came up with that? I don't know. Maybe did people way back in the 70s agree on this? I have no idea. But in terms of the, you know, project prep and all that stuff, I think there are 3 reasons for this. One is it's a very competitive marketplace. We have lots and lots of competitors. The barriers to entry are rather low. If you're pretty good at speaking a language and can translate, you know, in some sort of, you know, qualitative way, you know, you can be a translator or, you know, start a translation company. And I think that's how many of our companies started. You know, somebody won a big project and they suddenly had to get their friends involved and get technologically astute people involved as the technology came about. I also think that clients, of course, end clients in particular, but I think it pushes through the large MLVs, for example, and down to SLVs, and then down to the translators, this sort of, I think that because it's so competitive and folks wanted to get business, they would just slash certain things, you know, either they cut the word rate, which is a very direct cost and a hard cost where you can kind of fudge hourly costs a bit, which most of these are, with the exception of DTP, it used to be by the page. I think companies said, well, we'll cut out pre and post processing. That'll knock a bit off the quote, you know, and that'll make us just a bit more competitive. So there was a lot of rate slashing going on. I'm just going to say it. I think a lot of salespeople didn't have very good selling skills. And out of desperation to make numbers, they would slash rates. I think a lot of people, especially earlier, it's less so today, you know, they have language degrees, not business and finance degrees in pricing, right? And so, and you know, sales skills like negotiation. I also think as an industry, again, to end clients, less so within the industry, is we're very poor at articulating our value. We talk about quality, and delivery, and then price, because that comes from the client. Quality and delivery, nobody is selling slow delivery and bad quality. Nobody goes out there to sell that. So that doesn't really tell the client anything. Now, whether you deliver it or not is different, but when you're selling it, you know, that doesn't differentiate you. And so it made it very hard for us to justify a higher price. Well, why should we pay you more? Well, we're really good and our quality is best. You know, I mean, I'm oversimplifying, but I do think that's part of it. The other thing, so, you know, that's kind of competitive pricing, like cost-based pricing. So we look at our costs, what kind of margin do we want to make? We add that on, and then we negotiate with the client. Competitors come in, offer lower price, and we get forced into competitive pricing. So those are two kind of pricing models. I think some of us, I think the negative consequences of those are pretty apparent. I would like to see us do more value-based selling, because I think a lot of us need to find out what our translations actually achieve for some of our customers. So not everybody's a value-based buyer, a lot of commodity buyers out there, but, you know, if we're translating marketing, you know, they measure the reach of those translations. I trust you. Trust me, they do. You know, they measure the quality of translations for life sciences, which we know that has different price points, but I'm not really sure we think so much from our customer's point of view. And again, this is articulating our value to end clients, and then the price pressures get pushed down the chain. That's my view. Maybe I'll stop there and see if anybody has anything to say, because I can go on and on and on and on and on.
I believe that everything that you said makes total sense, and the pressure is on. The pressure for higher rates from the base, from the translators, because the inflation it's
real.
It's rushing everybody.
Sorry to interrupt, but there is a question. There is Angelica who raised their hand, and I would like to open the microphone so she can maybe join the conversation.
Yes.
Hi, Angelica. Okay, let's see.
There you go.
Angelica.
Can you hear me?
Ah,
yes.
Hi, I know you.
Yes. Hi there. Oh my God, that shirt looks amazing on you. Jessica, you look amazing with that shirt. Okay, thank you for
it's brand new. I just bought it.
Oh, I assume that. Especially for the event. Thank you for sharing the comments. You know, I have to disagree with you, Jessica, on that. You know, if you go to a supermarket and you are buying your groceries, you are not expected to be charged differently because you have someone, you know, at the cashier. Or if you go for ice cream, the fact that someone is preparing a scoop for you, it doesn't mean that will charge separately for preparing the scoop. I mean, you are buying an ice cream, the ice cream is supposed to come with everything, including the service of someone preparing it for you. So I don't agree with you on that. pre-processing, post-processing, PM in charges. I think that that's something that was at the beginning charged because the industry was absolutely immature and new, and nobody really knew how much it would cost to do something. But at this point, if someone comes looking for translation, I mean, translation includes everything from, quoting to preparing files to delivering, including QA controls. So I think that within the rate of translation, everything would be included. There's no reason to, put like
If that were the case, though, sorry, I shouldn't talk over you. My apologies. Sorry, I thought you were finished. Sorry.
No problem.
Then I think our rates should be higher. If all that stuff is included, I think the rate should be higher. And I agree with you in one sense that a lot of these things we've become much better at, and we know in the tools, pre and post processing, it still happens, but it's a lot quicker. And to a certain extent, a human doesn't even really need to be involved, not like the old days when they did. So in that sense, I do agree with you, but I'm not trying to compare us to a grocery store because that commoditizes us right away.
Right. Right, I agree with you. We shouldn't commoditize this service, but still, I think there are a lot of things that come with it.
Yeah, I think today there are. But at the same time, like getting rid of project management, I disagree. Certain projects, certainly. And I think this leads me to, and I'd be curious, Angelica, what you would say about this, because, one of the things that's really difficult also is that, especially end clients, and again, I'm going to focus on end clients because they drive most of this. One department like marketing will be charged kind of a premium, but if we want to get business in another part of the company and it's kind of like basic HR documents that are going out to employees that are pretty simple, we can't, in a way, this is kind of what I'm part of my response to your disagreement with me is, and I'm agreeing with you actually, is that, we can't charge the same rate for those two projects because it makes no sense. One is dead easy and actually probably could be automated completely, as opposed to something that's very nuanced, kind of text and has branding and all the other stuff that goes with it. So, within a company, we've got all these different variables and everything in between, and we have e-learning. So we have, technology that deals with that, which costs money, all kinds of other kinds of projects. And I think there are two things too, is a lot of the buyers of this don't understand. They don't get it. They don't get it.
There is a need of education, right? We should educate, but at the same time, I think we should separate services. Translation is not the same for everything, for any content, and at the same time, the services are not the same because you can do post editing for one simple thing, and at the same time, if let's assume you're working for a life sciences company, for a crop, or this type of company, CROs. It's not the same type of language you're going to use, the amount of steps you're going to put in the process and everything for making sure a pharmaceutical formula is okay, then the HR document you are sending to the life sciences companies, letting them know that for COVID reasons, the company is going to be whatever. So yeah, definitely from our side, we should sell like separate services. I agree with you on that. Separate services and, different prices and different price charts for different content and different services. Yes.
Yep. Yeah.
Maybe,
sorry, go on.
Sorry, I just wanted to say, maybe the question here is if we should keep charging per word. Maybe we should change that model a little bit because we can put everything in one basket.
But
there are, go on.
No, it's I was just saying that it's quite hard to, because from my experience here in Brazil, for example, we have two different types of charging. We have swan translators that charge per page. We have different type of services that charge for page, and characters and words and hourly rates. How can you put all of this in just one? I think I think the most sense is like different services with different type of rates. I think it's makes more sense like this, like DTP. Yeah, let's charge for by hour or per page, and translation, maybe we have the fuzzy matches, then the madness of the fuzzy matches comes, and we charge per word, depending of the job, maybe per hour. It's really hard to reach an agreement of which rates we should charge. It's really hard to.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I've tried, and educating clients is not an easy thing sometimes. And but the thing is what we're talking about is we're using different processes for different types of work. And we're using different technologies. I mean, and I think sometimes a lot of times the client thinks it's the same for everything, or we convey that it's kind of the same. And today, especially today, and maybe we're at an inflection point, I don't know, because so much of the translation, especially the commoditized stuff, I mean, who wants to spend time on that? If you touch it, you're eroding margin, right? And those are the ones especially that are so price sensitive. Well, we want you to do French at 15 cents a word. Fine, it's going to get shoved through, MT, and that's it. And probably zero post editing, and you're going to have to live with what you get. And a lot of people are happy with that. I think, some people, again, I think it comes back to us figuring out what kind of business it is and what kind of business we want, because some business I don't want the commodity stuff. It's hard for the kind of thing that I would want to sell. Commodities are just not worth the effort. I would rather a company that is really geared up for that, or that has a process that's really geared up for that, or a separate group in my company that's geared up for that. And I certainly don't want a project manager touching it. Not for those rates, because it just pulls down the overall profitability of the company. That's my opinion. And it's hard to articulate your value because, to be honest, many clients don't even care that, they're fulfilling some sort of requirement that, we want to fulfill the requirement. This is the budget we have, live with it. And I do think, other clients do. I mean, Angelica mentioned life sciences. Well, they do care. I mean, quality is a big issue there, but also, I think this comes to another trend where specialization is starting to happen quite profoundly. I mean, being all things to all people is kind of hard. And I think a lot of companies are starting to define themselves into, even if it's not business groups, there are SLVs that do only, oh my God, what's the word?
One language.
Not SEO, but marketing, God, what is it? Like branding and taglines and stuff like that. What's that called? The word is just not coming to my head.
SEM.
Yeah. Well, subject matter. Yeah. Oh God, the word isn't there, but like companies that only do transcreation is the word. Right. So
thank you, Helena.
Only that. You don't charge by the word for that. I charged by the word for that back in the 90s. How stupid was that? The poor translators put hours in and we were charging $1.50 a word or something. It was stupid. I think there's opportunity out there for us, because there is specialization, there are new markets, there are new languages and things like that, which offer us the opportunity to make some money, but applying the same thing to everything just, to me, doesn't work.
Jessica.
There is, sorry to this
no, shut me up.
There is, no. There's, there are other comments from Virginia. So I'm going to open her microphone in case she wants to talk. And Angelica, you can still talk. You can just open your microphone and join the conversation.
Yeah.
So, Virginia.
Hi, hello everybody. Thank you, Jessica.
Hi.
for bringing up this interesting topic and everybody else for chipping in with their ideas. As I said in my comment, I think we're slowly shifting on both prices of different services, and of course, there's going to be different services. Going back to the metaphor Angelica put forward about buying an ice cream, you can buy different flavors, and you can buy a scoop of different sizes, and that would be a different service. The point here, as I'm saying, is that if the prices that we're charging today are actually valid for the value that our services within the translation and localization industry mean for our clients and for the world as a whole. I mean, we're all users of translations every day. I mean, every time I pick up my phone, I'm using a translation. So I think that's the point, and I think that's what I would like to keep on focusing when we continue with this talk.
Yeah, you know, it occurs to me too, and that we were talking about this before we were online with this, is, you know, it is going to be, it is interesting too, because we're talking about, you know, how many different countries have translators, right? All of them, or almost all of them, you know, and there are different dynamics everywhere as well. And it just occurred to me, since we have two Argentinians voicing their opinion, and I get that. I think within the industry, you know, there is more agreement and more understanding. Certainly there's more understanding of that. I have seen, though, actually it's a South American company, and I can't remember where they're from. They did change their pricing model. Again, they deal with some end clients rather than for this example. But, you know, back in my day, you know, you got these projects clunk, you know, and it made it very easy to, you know, do, you know, the analysis of the files, whether it was software and documentation and help systems. They were all separate things with a lot of redundancy. It was great because we didn't have so much TM then, and we could make a lot of money. Yeah, customers got wise, of course. But, you know, today there are so many clients like games and I don't know, software and other buyers, where it's just sort of this stream of text, and a lot of times out of context, and they were losing a lot of money by charging for the word, because it was, you know, it wasn't something a translator could just dig into and work on for days or hours or whatever. It was, you know, 10 minutes here, 30 minutes there, an hour there, and another 15 minutes or whatever happened to be coming in. And they did move to an hourly model for that work, because it was, and the client did agree. They had to do a lot of persuading, and they had to go, you know, kind of crunch a lot of numbers, but it really kind of made sense. It was much easier to charge on an hourly rate than a per word rate. The time involved with that would have made it unprofitable. That was their conclusion. So I wasn't directly involved in that, but that's a scenario where, you know, people have changed the model to meet the needs. You know, so yeah, I think word rates are sometimes fair. I just think sometimes not fair. And I think we could make more than we have been.
Jessica, and
Yeah.
in the way to get more, this is one of the questions that I think we wanted to
Yeah.
hear. Which metrics should we keep track to create awareness of our value? What do you think about?
Yeah, well, it's funny that you mentioned that, because I wrote down some stuff that was on a slide that I had, because it really is important for us, and particularly again with end clients, they drive the need, is to present our value. So what does that mean? Well, you know, you can't do this with all clients for sure, but you can do it with important ones and ones who really do, you know, engage with you. But, you know, by reminding them of our value regularly, we can set KPIs. We can show them, like, the tools that we have can show them, you know, like how much money we save them on fuzzy matches and 100% matches and all that stuff. We can show them productivity of people if they want to see it. we can show how many problems we solved on their behalf, because a lot of times they send us a lot of garbage, frankly, and we have to, kind of dive in there and sort through it in order to make sense of it. Sometimes, clients have problems they can't solve that we solve for them. An interesting one that came up in a discussion I had a couple weeks ago was that we can also, just even educating the client, we can educate them and remind them that we've given them a lot of value. I was, in fact, the client I was just, I'm sorry, it's somebody else. The client I was just in a training with, she was telling me a story about how they have a client that is, she gets translation. They hired her as a translation manager at an end client, but she doesn't really understand a lot of the KPIs and financial aspects of stuff. And she has to so she's a translation manager and she has all kinds of internal customers. This is one of the challenges we face with pricing as well. So she gets the translation part. She wants to, help the translation company, but she doesn't know how to write a proposal. She doesn't know how to write a business plan with financials in it. So who does it? The project manager and the salesperson do it for her so that she can send it on to her internal client. It helps them retain the business because she loves them for doing that. Okay, it takes time. Does that erode margin? Yes, but it wins business. Because if she wants to change vendor, if she wants to change languages to certain vendors, reshuffle anything, she has to go to her internal client to justify that.
I'm going to interrupt
so many layers here.
I'm going to interrupt again, Jessica. You're going to hate me at the end of this.
No,
webinar.
I'm not going to hate you.
I'm going to open Roderick's microphone and then I'm going to open Ioannis as well, because I see that they both commented. So guys.
No. This is what it's all about. I'm just talking to say stuff and have people disagree or agree or do it.
Okay, Roderick, you can go first and then Ioannis.
Yes, hi, this is Roderick, Eurocom in the Netherlands. Hi. Very interesting discussion. We are LSP focusing on servicing other LSPs. And we got the feeling at the moment that we are being attacked, let's say, from different sides.
Right.
I mean, it's post-editing fuzzy matches, it's minimum fees, it's word rates, everything is down. And the inflation is up.
Right.
I mean, it is like as they call it in ballet, a spagat. You don't know what to do. I mean, you have to raise your rates because your vendors are demanding a higher rate, which we understand, and our partners are just pushing it down. And again, as I said, there are so many aspects at the moment of pricing which are being attacked. It's just almost impossible to make up your mind what to do. I mean, we get post-editing formulas. I think there are about 10 at the moment, 15 different views on how to charge post-editing. I mean, from Accolade to TransPerfect to RWS, everyone has his own formula, and it's like getting crazy in the market. Is there no industry standard for this? I mean, they know there's ISO certification, of course, and everyone has the post-editing or machine translation ISO certification and knows that you normally apply 80 or 60% of your GP rate. But even that is being discussed and being questioned. So it is kind of a very strange times towards 2023, what to do.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, your customers are probably raising their prices. I would probably, I don't know what, I'm maybe they're not. I mean, if you're serving other LSPs, maybe not. And I think this is one of the conundrums. It's the beauty of our industry. Don't get me wrong. This is why I'm in the industry, because I know people in every corner of the planet, and I love that. But at the same time, because of the structure, there's so much indirect business going on here. And I think some of this is, part of the problem is the indirectness. I think also you know, we have to, well, have to is probably too strong of a word, but in some way, we do need to convey that to our clients. I mean, if they want us to go out of business, you know, that's could be very much a reality if we cannot pay
Yeah.
our people
Yeah,
a
it
living
is a
wage.
reality. Yeah.
Okay, Ioannis, your turn.
Thank you, and great job, you guys. This is very, very interesting. I don't really have a question. I was more or less agreeing with Roderick, but I would like to add my 2 cents as well. I can tell, I think everybody can tell that we are under pricing pressure, at least the smaller translators or MLVs or regional language companies. But at the same time, I think that the bigger LSPs, because they are into this inflation war, they are not. I don't believe. My opinion is that they can't afford losing their trusted teams of translators. So I believe we should raise the rates ourselves too, but also add value to what we do. I'm not going to go into details. I will just say that until recently, we had a lot of free services offered to clients, not us specifically at Technography, but I think all smaller translation agencies. And these come undercover, like LSO, LSA, RCA, QA, RQA, something, consistency, something about, you name it.
Yeah.
Right? Right. Yeah. These are undercover services for unpaid. I mean, you have like a translation and edit project, but then again, 3 unpaid steps afterwards for doing something different. So that's a free service that I think it should stop at some point.
I think we do a lot of free work in our industry, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I do.
Yes. And the last thing that I would like to add to the conversation is that at least in our case, we are clearing. We make a clearance of our clients. If it's not something, it's not profitable, or a client relationship is not profitable, then we just drop it because it just doesn't make sense. And it's also evident that the translation industry is growing. So there is business there, and we shouldn't let that go that easily, being threatened by, lowering to lower our rates and accept that.
Yeah, I agree with letting clients go. 2 of my favorite activities in my career was firing 2 clients that I just could not wait to get rid of. They cost us so much money.
Yeah.
And they were big name. One was a big name client, and I couldn't believe that our CEO agreed with me. And so we called a competitor and said, they wanted a recommendation. So we gave them to our quote favorite competitor. I hate to admit that, but we did. I don't know if they actually ended up using them, but we gave them some names because we said we've changed our business model and we're no longer able to do work for you, in like 2 months' time. So you have time to, bridge the gap. Yeah.
I think there is sorry for
No, go ahead.
I think there's a fine. I'm not sure if it's a valid financial term about that, but it's called like client maintenance cost.
Yes.
Right.
Well, some are a pain in the neck, and some just, they're high maintenance clients, and they do erode your margin. I mean, you want to, I recognize that, sometimes you have to accept lower prices, and if you're making, I don't know what a reasonable margin is, but some margin, that keep the lights on until, the world is more stable and there's more certainty. Certainly, I'm practical that way too. Sometimes it's necessary. But I do, things are changing, and I do think we're on the brink of something, some fundamental change in our industry, and COVID probably prompted much of it. I think.
Okay, I have here Sharon, if you want to talk, and then Walid, and then Pablo. Sharon?
I can
Hello,
read
can you hear me?
Yes, Sharon. Hi, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thanks. Hi, Jessica, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you, Sharon? This is what I love. I know people everywhere. It's great.
Yeah, this is a hot topic, eh? Yeah, the other thing that I just typed into the chat box was there's just such a huge disparity in the rates, when you were talking about French getting 22 cents a word, I did nearly fall off my chair, because in Africa, we're not even getting near that. But with the same expenses, the same inflation, probably more hardships, and rarer languages where we really struggle to find people that can speak some of the languages that are requested. So it would be so awesome just to have some kind of standard where, a translator gets paid. I know we can never say X amount for everybody, but within reason, so that there's not such a huge difference. I mean, who's making the money here, and who's getting it all?
I will address that a little bit, if I may. I mean, Japanese is a lot more than that, but the cost of living in Japan is probably twice the US. At least that was my experience when I was trying to pay for all kinds of things there. I was like, a coffee is really that much? Is kind of eye-watering.
Yeah.
But, there are some of those disparities. France is a very expensive country. They have a lot of wage protection laws there. And, the people have a lot of protections in terms of that. Now, whether that impacts translation rates or not, I don't know. But certainly there are a lot of employee protections and things like that. And there are some cost of living differentials. But yeah, but I hear your point. I mean, you're in a very different market from France. And yes, I mean, you're trying to find people to speak the languages that people are requesting. On the other hand, I'm going to try to be slightly optimistic here, because it is on my list of I guess, some of the optimistic conclusions I've come to, because, I don't think we're going to solve this price conundrum today. I wish we could. But, and pre-COVID, there were so many trends. I mean, companies were investing in all kinds of different parts of the world, including your continent. I don't know of South Africa specifically, but certainly on the continent of Africa. And there's still some of that going on. And there is, if they're asking you for languages, you struggle to find, I mean, that's a problem, but it's also an opportunity.
Yeah.
And I think the number of languages and language pairs is only going to increase. I think COVID just slowed it down quite a bit. But I think once we get past some of this stuff, that is going to pick up again, because in certain parts of the world, the standard of living is going up, and they buy stuff. And when they start buying stuff and have more stability in their countries, and I'm thinking of some specific places around, well, some specific places, but all around the world, that's going to create the need. But I agree there. I think our industry could do something to help develop these skills somewhere.
Yeah. Thanks, Jessica. It's another side of the whole topic, but I just wanted to put it out there.
No, but I wanted to hear from, I have this, Anglo-Saxon bias or American UK bias. So I want to hear.
But Sharon, I can say one thing for you. Here in Brazil, we don't see these rates as well. Okay.
Okay. Okay. As long as we're not the only ones.
No, they're just our cost of living differentials. And, this is why some services that are kind of popping up around the world for and why companies are hiring people in different parts of the world, because we can work remotely now. We discovered that with COVID. And so, you know, the translation company somewhere in a really posh part of the city of London, I mean, you want to talk about expensive rent, you know, the overheads there are just ridiculous. Wages here are very high. You know, not that so many translators live here, although they do, but you know, those overheads are crazy. So if they can outsource you know, some of their technical or project management staff to other countries that are lower cost, they will do it. Because that will definitely have a positive impact on the margins. And hopefully that helps employment in other parts of the world. But you know, there's a huge wage differential in all sorts of different parts of the world. So that kind of plays into those costs.
Yeah, they definitely, I mean, I can see how big MLVs are opening up offices in countries that do have lower living costs, such as the Eastern Bloc and Africa and Argentina, etc. So yeah, there is a spin side to it. So yeah.
It's hopefully, you know, I think it's a positive thing ultimately. I don't think we'll ever see the balance. I'm not in my lifetime anyway, because I'm older than most of you. But it's yeah, it's just one of those things. I think we had another question.
Yes, we have Walid, and then Pablo, and then Angelica again.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, Walid, go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me, guys?
Very
Very faint.
Very faint. What about now?
Go ahead, let's try.
Okay, well, thank you very much. First, this is my first attendance to Gala. I'm with Abbott Page. And I have just wanted actually to intervene in terms of what the gentleman from the Netherlands was talking in terms of TransPerfect and the takeovers. I don't think the prices will go higher in 2023. For a simple reason is that TransPerfect is looking to enlarge their market share. I've been working for TransPerfect and I know what's the strategy behind it. The price will never go up. They just want to make sure that if one client comes to TransPerfect, then they will take anything related to languages. If it's media, if it's marketing, if it's life science, whatever, anything. And the margins are there. They cannot go up into prices for a simple reason is that they use technologies. So you can imagine the fact that you use translation memories, then, you know, every time you have a document, you have 90% repeated text. So it's much lower cost, and they use the markups. So for instance, me as a business development, if I send to production, then the project manager needs to start with a markup of 3.5. So let's say I sell it for 100 euros, then he will divide it by 3.5, and that's what he has as a cost to outsource it to any other linguist. And COVID has now, I would say, doubled the number of linguists all around the world. Many people have lost their jobs in other industries, and all of a sudden they jump into the let's say translation industry. They think it's an easy thing. Jessica, you have enough experience. You know that it's not. I understand where you're coming from when you talk about it. In the 90s, you used to charge everything, and it was never enough. But for instance, the competition today is becoming very, very hard.
It's harder.
Yeah, I mean, clients before, they never heard about pros. Back then, there were pros and then Translation Cafe, if I remember correctly. I'm not that old, I'm 47 by the way. But today they have Upworks, they have freelancers available all around the world. Last week, I had a client who sent a 100-page user, it was a technical user manual. I gave him a very good price, and it was into 3 languages, from German to French, Italian, and English. I quoted 3,000 or 4,000 euros. He found 800.
Yeah, but you know what? That is not gonna, ultimately, that's not gonna work for them.
Exactly. No, I dropped.
Yeah.
I like what you said. I told him, hey, go ahead, enjoy it. And if
Yeah.
you want to give me the lead for the linguist who does
Can't
that
wait
job
to
for
hear your
you,
client's
yeah.
feedback on that. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that
that's
doesn't
the
sound like the right client, right?
No, it does
Yeah.
not. And you know, I'm not gonna go down the too far down the line on TransPerfect. That may be their business model, but I know a lot of LSPs who will not take on their projects anymore for exactly those reasons.
And I'm sorry, I'm reading Virginia.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Do you read that? The same goes for Spanish. We have recently been told Spanish should be free, as if Spanish translators did not need any money to live. But this is not sustainable. Like if we keep doing this, we will go bankrupt. So it doesn't make any sense, but they will not have translators.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, who wants to be a translator if you get paid zero?
Yeah, like why?
You know, and you know, I would say some of this work, I don't know, Virginia, whether, you know, I don't know enough about the project, but in my opinion, some of these projects that we have to be able to articulate the value that we provide all the way through the chain, because everybody has competitors. I mean, you're in Cordoba. How many competitors do you have there? Or well, you're in Argentina. I mean, there are loads of competitors, you know, and they're all vying for business. Now, some vie for different business, but it is very competitive. Nobody wants to go to zero, though. It's just not sustainable, and I'd walk away from idiots like that. Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
We have 4 more minutes, and I would like at least a couple of more people to,
Okay, yes,
to be able to
absolutely.
speak. So Pablo, go ahead.
Hi, Jessica. How are you this time from Buenos Aires? How are you
I'm
doing?
fine.
Well, I was considering something that is connected to the you know, to what brought us here. Should prices in the localization industry go up
Yeah.
or down? And I think this question should trigger somehow a lesson that we need to learn. And it has to do with timing, because timing is everything. Because this moment specifically, if we are trying to increase our prices, it could be connected to or our clients will be say, well, everybody is doing this, supermarket, gas stations, everyone is rising the prices. But what I was thinking of is why, as you said, you started with 21 or 22 cents for translations in French, and it's 2022 and you are still getting the same. So how come we waited that long to start this conversation? And because this is not the right moment, I think, because everyone is like speaking about the same.
Yeah, well, that is the question.
That is the question, right? Perhaps we not now, but in future years, when everything hopefully calms down, we should try to have this conversation again, and thinking, okay, without this crisis that we are living, why should we rise our rates? Why? Because of, we have mentioned many services that we are providing to our clients, and many things we do for free, like training, style guides, and many things that we do. I believe that perhaps in the future we should have this conversation before getting into a moment like this one.
Yeah, I have a couple things real quick to say about that. I think part of the problem is because, you know, the barriers to entry to our industry are fairly low. Even if they provide $800 translations versus 4,000 or euros. So, you know, that's a problem. I think you know, the other part of that is it just is very competitive, and that has probably kept the rates down. And I think there are people who are just willing to reduce rates, I don't know, as the path of least resistance. They're poor negotiators. I don't know exactly the reason, you know, but they're unable to justify their price. And maybe they're so afraid that somebody else will get the business at that price, but maybe at that price, you know, the other company will fail. I don't know. I think we can be more selective. I think a lot of this business is going to be automated anyway. It already is. And I think we have to find other ways to add value. So, you know, like transcreation didn't exist 10 years ago. A lot of things didn't exist 10 years ago. And I think that, you know, that's only going to keep happening. And maybe we can, you know, pay attention and see where there are opportunities in the future. But yeah, getting everybody to agree, you're never going to get everybody to agree. I think that's the problem. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Unfortunately, we have to close the webinar. So Jessica, thank you so much for joining us. It's really been a pleasure and extremely interesting. Paolo and Lucrecia, thank you so much. I know you worked very hard behind the scenes to organize this. So thank you so much. And we'll see you at the next member program meeting.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I'm very sorry. Yeah, I'm very sorry, Angelica and Rodrigo. I know that you were supposed to speak, but we really need to close the webinar. And I see some messages of people that saying that would love to write articles about this topic. Please feel free to contact me, and we can schedule something, either an article, an interview, or anything. When I close the webinar, you will see a post-webinar survey. Please wait online. It'll take you 5 seconds to give us your feedback. Tell us how you found the conversation, and how great Jessica, Paula, and Lucrecia have done. And you're also going to help us refine our webinar program. So next webinar is on November 10th with Gegana Tolieva from One Stop Asia, who is going to talk about complaint management. And although the main call for proposals for Dublin has closed now, we still have the soapbox session call for proposals, which is a session of maximum 8 minutes, no slides, no props, just you and your ideas. So maybe rates, pricing, and growth and inflation is a topic that some of you would like to propose for this session format. I'll include the link in the follow-up email. But for now, thank you so much, everybody. Have a good day, have a good evening, and I hope to see you soon at another Gala webinar. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
very much.